Subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon and never miss an update from Latestly.
I said, Hindi? I told you speak in Tamil because we want him to be related to Tamil.
Where
So many adjectives are popping up. Yeah, bratty also.
because
yeah. So एक ही song पीछे रह गया, century हो जाती नहीं तो.
I learned so much about how to convince people, how to do a pitch.
First of all, welcome to Latestly, all of you. I must say this line from the film, एक क्या 100 गाने बनाएंगे. For a film that is titled 99 songs, but in reality features only 14, how do you then justify the title? Can we start with Rahman sir?
Yeah, the line of the story was actually, if a person has to write 100 songs to win a girl, right? And then I was doing a movie called 100-Foot Journey with DreamWorks. Mm-hmm. And at that time, we were just ideating. I said, 100 songs, 100-Foot Journey. People get confused. So I said, okay, cut one out. Let's make it 99 songs.
99.
And it made more sense because also people like the whole shape of 99 coming in. And of course, if you, after the movie, when you sleep, you'll hear the other songs, like the song 45, song 33. Oh. And it's very, very subjective. It'll all come in your dreams.
Right. So एक ही song पीछे रह गया, century हो जाती नहीं तो. Am I right, Ehan?
You have to see the movie to understand why.
Yeah, there's a mystery to it.
Surely, absolutely. Ehan, you have trained for this one, I hear, for a year at the Music Conservatory at the Institute, at the Music Institute, especially the piano, if I'm not mistaken. And then you studied acting for a year in LA. So, which was the toughest part, or a tougher part rather? Learning to play the piano, the musical instrument, getting the notes right, or learning the acting?
I wouldn't say tougher was the right word, So for me to live to Rahman sir's legacy, you have to get things done, If he's casting you in a film which requires you to play a part of a musician, you have to somehow know your skills, You can't have a film where musicians will see the film and say, that actor is playing the wrong note, that actor is playing the wrong chord, Mm-hmm. So since he's a perfectionist, it was his idea to send me to Chennai, where I learned piano for a period of 1 year. But it felt like, okay, it's a very complicated instrument. What am I supposed to do with it? But under the guidance of a very beautiful teacher, Surojit Chatterjee sir, he helped me a lot. He was more like a father figure to me. And it's because of him I kind of got my hands coordination right on piano. And I had to work hard because Rahman sir believed in me to carry forward this dream project of his. And then I was sent to LA for joining acting classes because he somehow wanted me to open up more. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was like a task or anything. I just beautiful journeys.
Vishwesh, for you, while directing this one, we understand that you understand the nuances of acting and music as well. But for directing this one, you have Ehan, who's raring to go, the new talent on the block, and then you have the maestro himself. So getting both these two people on the same page and working with them in tandem, how was it?
It's a jigsaw puzzle actually, and every single day there was a new piece that you had to try and fit in, and it's not just to do with those two aspects of it. The idea was more to do with conceptually what we were trying to do. Rahman Saab being a musician who has perhaps India's most eminent personality in music and is our most fitting sort of representative nationally, culturally and all of that. Sure. When a story that's based on music comes from him, there were a lot of conversations that he and I had indulged in initially to just say, what is this film principally about? Not on a story level, but in the landscape of cinema level. And there was often the notion of saying that art cinema is very self-indulgent and commercial cinema seems to be a little dumbed down and playing to the gallery of the masses. And no one's ever dared to find where does that line actually meet, and how do you make something that has commercial sensibilities, but is presented with the finesse and grandeur of, I wouldn't say art cinema, but in terms of like artistically presented cinema. And since this was about music and inspirations and where do songs come from and all of that, these deeply philosophical questions, it was more about bridging those two things, like making something feel immensely artistic and beautiful to look at, but yet the foundations of it is a story that's simple to understand and easy for you to relate to characters and move with them, with their motivations and their journeys. Where I was really lucky with is that he is an incredibly supportive producer. And he is also very open to another person interpreting his writing. So if you'd written something, that's three, incidences in a character's life, and that hit me in a certain way, and I extrapolated that and wrote 4 more incidences, and I'd go back to him, he'd be excited about it. He wouldn't be like, so that's a really, really rare phenomenon. I mean, for someone who works a lot with in the field, I'd say that he's tremendously giving, and he doesn't get too attached to anything that he has made. In fact, it's literally just seeds he has sown, and he lets it sort of blossom out. And the means that we had, as in, like, it's not like I had an infinite budget, but the ambition was the moon, and this was Mangalyaan in every way. I mean, I meant the moon, I should have said Mars, but this was Mangalyaan in every way.
Absolutely, all set to take off. Rahman sir, please tell me, I mean, as if you're not wearing many hats in the musical arena itself, now you're wearing 2 more, which is of a screenwriter and producer. How are you doing this? And what did it take to make that transition? Was it difficult?
I think it all seeded in LA after the Oscars. I would tell stories to my friends out there. And because, as an Academy member, I get invited to Spielberg's party, J.J. Abrams' party. I meet the editor of Spielberg. I meet all these kind of things happen. So I had some friends who I've just told a couple of stories, and they said, "Wow, that's great. When are you making this?" I was like, "Really? Is it makeable?" And encouragement from them. And also, I felt like Chennai, being Chennai, it was a culmination of 4 different industries, and then everything broke away. And everything they become like independent. But beautifully, Telugu industry, Malayalam industry, and Kannada industry went off. When I was growing up, I was seeing all this. All these big studios crumbled and became, malls and hospitals, and all this real estate of studios became these. And I feel like I'm in the belly of the beast, which is where great things are made. Dilip Kumar stayed for 6 months.
Yes.
Why don't we make this? Why don't we make a shooting floor? Because I'm making this movie. I took the whole crew and I built this big studio with containers, and it's like 36,000 square feet. And our man rejects it. And he says, no, I want to shoot in Mumbai. I don't want to come to Chennai. And he was right, because it was easier, because the movie demanded, people from there. So I said, okay, at least, and that scapegoat, I built a studio, and it's there to stay, and I'm going to make more movies, hopefully.
Sir, quite interestingly, you said in an interview that it is exhausting, and the word is exhausting, to make a musical, because you have to constantly rewrite, you have to tweak, you have to make constant changes. So how difficult or how challenging was this one, and how did it get worked out?
No, I worked in stage musicals where you have to stay there and you have to change things, you have to change lyrics, and you have to see if they don't get the laughs, you don't get the hike in the spike in a certain thing, you have to rewrite the song. So I've been through that stuff, and that experience actually gave me the patience to say that great musicals are made like that. And so let's, in a small way, try to do that. We did a previs, we put all the songs in, we checked out how it feels, and that took a year to do the previs, and the previs was much more longer. So once we did the movie, all that helped to shape up the narrative which we currently have.
Ehan, I mean, I was reading up something on you, and something really interesting popped up. When somebody asks you, when you were asked that what is the biggest misconception people have about you, you replied that some people thought that you were mean. Why would people think that you were mean? Does that come with those sharp looks?
Yeah, I guess so. That's all. I mean, when I have a conversation with people, And then later on, they become my friends. They said, what was the first impression before meeting? I thought you're this arrogant guy, who's so full of himself. But I'm none of that. I'm very polite, down to earth.
That's true, right, Ehan? Sometimes you're arrogant, right?
Guys, you're putting me in the spot now.
Okay, arrogant will serve, but mean cannot. What did the directors and the producer himself think when they met Ehan for the first time? Apart from being arrogant, on a lighter note.
No, he's sweet. And so he sends me this, the way of the growth of him is amazing. From like being very, very humble and very, very, earnest in the beginning, to exploring, during the whole COVID time, you'd send me messages, sir, what is this meaning of this philosophical rhyme? As though I'm as a lecturer or something, or a professor or something. He sends me this, it makes me think like,
but you are.
I'm maybe.
Vishwesh, what was your first
Gorilla professor.
Vishwesh, honestly, what was your first impression when you met them for the first time? Here's the professor, and here's the man who thinks that he should not be taken as a mean guy.
No, meeting Rahman sir for the first time. I think I would say that maybe the first 40 or 50 times that I met him, I don't think you don't function with all your faculties. Actually, 50% of your faculties are in disbelief, and 50% of you is in survival state. Say, I hope I don't do something stupid. If he hands you something, if someone came and handed you a glass of water, I think 50% of my body is trying to not drop the glass of water. So
don't screw up.
So, but actually, he's one of those people that it's actually his grace. He treats you like an equal. Always did. Gives you equal partnership in the ideation. If there is, if this film is what it is because he didn't ever stop me. He allowed me to explore, allowed me to flex, allowed me to be flamboyant and be minimalist, be all of that. Like I where grandeur where it's required and the hezzy where it is. So I think that it took me several minutes, and after that, I think I kind of became a little bratty. Where
so many adjectives are popping up. Yeah, bratty also.
I mean, because then later, it's like I wasn't afraid to play in front of him. I wasn't afraid to be wrong in front of him. And also, like, he is an advocate of continuous, relentless brainstorming. And brainstorming often means that you don't always hit, the bullseye. But often, I think the fact that he would just be persistent about it, he would never let, he would always, sleep over something, come back and then say, is this really good enough? Or he would continuously make iterations and keep working on stuff, which I kind of have taken from this project into the rest of my life. Where I think that there is a certain final form that you accept just because you made a lot of effort. And I think he separates effort and final output somewhere. You sometimes you get attached to the fact that you worked on something for really long, and that's why you think it's good, which is not necessarily true. And it kind of hit me between the eyes, this truth working with him. And as far as Ehan,
can I add to that?
Yes, please.
So I'm writing the story, probably having confidence that I think I have something in me, and because my friends keep saying, no, you're a great storyteller, you should do more story. And of course, they're kind to me. And I don't know how people are going to be, but we'll soon know that about. But with Vishwesh, I think what I've realized is you can't just throw any idea to him. I have to explain and I have to stand by it and say why I need that idea. Till then, he won't accept it. No, sir, they should not do it. And then the moment I say that this is why I need that, it gave me much more. I learned so much about how to convince people, how to do a pitch. So that was never me, because people say yes to everything, mostly. But here we have a common interest. His name is coming as a director, and this movie has to function. It has to engage, and people have to get intrigued. And so,
Yeah, from their conversation, I get that you act out or you play this academician, this professor. Are you trying to break away from that image? And I'm asking this question because recently this video went viral where you're poking fun at the anchor and saying, "I am walking off" the moment you started speaking in Hindi, and
Well, I
that
didn't
was
walk-
hilarious.
Yeah, so it is. See, actually, let me tell you the whole story. So we have three languages. We have Hindi, we have Telugu, and Tamil. So when we come to Tamil, there's a protocol. You speak in Tamil. And here is a hero who's from Kashmir. And I'm trying to sell this hero to Tamil people, saying that here is your brother from Kashmir. And this lady starts talking in Hindi. I said, Hindi? I told you speak in Tamil because we want him to be related to Tamil.
Yeah.
So then there was another thing planned on the stage, so I had to work off. So they made 2 and 2 and 4. But thanks to the lady, God bless her, our thing went viral. And you don't have to pay for viral stuff. Viral stuff has to happen. And I think God bless her, she made our life. And our counts of the trailers are increasing.
But that also says a lot about the man who stays rooted in his own music, as indeed he remains and rooted in his own language as well, right?
Correct, true. But I'm very, very grateful for the Hindi audience. I think they've embraced me with so much love all over the world. I'm super grateful. I think if you take an example of people crossing over from south to north, I'll be on number 1. I think it's because of their graciousness, their kindness, and their love. And I'm very, very grateful for that.
And
let me also add to the fact that this became a Hindi film because most of the people involved in it were comfortable with Hindi. In fact, there was at some point, Rahman Sahib even asked me, should we make this in English? It's such a universal story. But then, I'm comfortable with Hindi. I'm from Bombay. Ehan spoke Hindi. So that's how it actually ended up. It's not like there was a decision saying, let's not do a language and let's do one language. It was never that way, really. So it happened on a tremendously organic, path.
It was lovely chatting with you. And I'm now curious to know why we are that 1 inch shot from the century. But of course, 99 does sound so well. So good, 99 songs. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me, for your time, and for those lovely, lovely answers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.